Why do we take things personally? Personally? No, of course not. We don't take things personally. Other people are just rude. They say the worst thing. They have the bad tone. They choose the worst timing. We are innocent. We are the victims. Have you ever felt like that? Like 90% of the time, you are just minding your own business and somehow the world keeps emotionally attacking you. If the answer is yes, good, then you are in the right place. Because when you're in that mindset, you don't easily accept that the idea that you might be taking things a little bit personally. And how do I know that? Because I've been there. And honestly, I still visit sometimes, especially on my bad days. It is exhausting. You get triggered easily, you stay upset longer than you want, and you play conversation in your head like a podcast you never subscribe to. You compare yourself to others, and somehow everything feels heavier than it should be. And this doesn't just happen in one area of life. It happens at work. It might happen with your family. It might happen with your friends. And even with a stranger you don't know, and probably you never want to know. Your neighbor throws out the trash, doesn't say hi, and your brain goes, noted. And their dog barks at you, and you are like, wow, even the dog doesn't like me. So, what is going on here? I don't think taking things personally is one problem. It is actually a surface behavior. Underneath it, there are usually different patterns running quietly in the background. You don't need to have them all, but one is enough. And let me name a few for you. One, when your own worth quietly enters the room. What does it mean? Sometimes feedback hurts not because they are harsh. It hurts because somewhere inside there's a quiet doubt about your own worth. So a comment doesn't land as information, but it lands as a meaning to you. What does it say about me? Is this a proof of something? Once your own worth enters the conversation, everything feels personal. The second might be when your mind makes you the center of everything. This one is really tricky. Your brain starts assuming that moods, reactions, silence, tone, everything, and they're all connected to you. Someone is quiet, must be about you. Someone sounds differently, definitely about you. And it's like living in a world where everything revolves around you, which sounds powerful, but it is actually very exhausting because it means you are always on alert. The other one can be when old experiences are still influencing the present, not always a big trauma from the past, but sometimes it's just years of being corrected harshly, misunderstood, misjudged, compared to other. So your system learned one thing very well. Pay attention, something might go wrong. And now even small things activate that old alert system. The next one is when perfection feels safer than being human. Let me tell you something. I remember hanging my final presentation poster on the wall and noticing a tiny hair stuck under the tape. And my mind went like, oh, they are going to see this. So I tried to fix it, of course, and ended up tearing my own poster, which is a perfect example of how perfection works, destroying something completely to avoid a tiny imperfection that no one would notice unless they were inspecting my wall with a zoom lens. And another one is when we don't let people finish their sentences. This one is very familiar. Someone starts talking, and before they finish, your mind jumps in, and you already know what they are going to say. The problem is You don't choose a neutral ending, you choose the worst one. They haven't finished their sentences yet, but your brain has already decided. They are criticizing me. They are disappointed. This is about my weakness. So even if the person continues, you're no longer really listening. You are busy reacting to something they didn't even say. And once you interrupt the conversation in your head like that, everything that follows feels personal, even if it wasn't meant that way at all. Another thing that could be when your brain thinks it is protecting you. At the most basic level, your brain has one main job, and that is keeps you safe, not successful, not confident, but safe. And for the brain, social situations matter more than we do. We admit that. So belonging, approval, being accepted. So when your brain senses possible rejection, it reacts early. It doesn't wait for facts. It doesn't check the context. It tightens your body, sharpens your thought, and suddenly comment feels like a threat. Not because it is one, but because your brain would rather overreact than miss the danger. So the problem is the protection mode makes everything feel personal. And when it doesn't need to be actually. So if you taking things personally, it's rarely about one comment or one situation. It's about a system that learns certain habits. Finishing stories too fast, protecting you too early, tying feedback to the worth, avoiding uncertainty. And here's the important part. You can't change this by fixing one reaction at the surface. You change it by understanding which habit it is running the show. That is why this channel won't give you quick fixes. We are not here to stop these reactions, but we are here to understand where they are coming from. Because once you see the pattern clearly, you don't have to fight it. You can work with it. And that's actually where the real change starts. Not by forcing yourself to not to take things personally, but by learning why your mind does that in the first place. For now, noticing which of these patterns you recognize is enough. We will go deeper, one pattern at a time.